Welcome back, everyone, to Action News Jax Sunday. I'm Phil Amato. More than 40,000 children try smoking in Florida each year, and 5,600 will become daily smokers. A Senate committee last Monday approved a bill that would raise Florida's smoking age from 18 to 21. As Action News Jax Bridget Matter reports, leaders say a lot of this has to do with the emergence of e-cigarettes.
While smoking rates have declined in the United States, e-cigarette use has dramatically increased since 2014. It's an agenda the U.S. Surgeon General is backing.
We must protect our nation's young people from a lifetime of nicotine addiction and associated problems.
Action News Jax reported earlier this month the FDA is cracking down on retailers that it says sells and markets tobacco specifically to teens. Supporters of the bill say their change could save lives. In January, Alachua County commissioners unanimously agreed to raise the tobacco buying age in the county to 21.
I think it should be raised up. I don't think people are responsible at the age of 18. I think that's an age where people start experimenting smoking cigarettes and then they're addicted to it for the rest of their life.
One local representative is against the bill. Republican Aaron Bean is from Fernandina Beach. He says he opposed the bill because, quote, we have to let kids and adults make their own decisions. A House version of the bill has not been heard in committees.
Now with us now to talk about raising Florida's smoking age is Dr. Ricardo Hennel, the director of Baptist Neurological Institute. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us today, too. You're a big proponent, of course, of Tobacco 21 here in Florida. The data, though, is really staggering when it comes to the people who are smoking today are smoking because they started when they were really young.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
The early exposition to the cigarettes and e-cigarettes lead to the habit later on. 95% of the adult smokers experiment with cigarettes before they were 18. And if you never experiment a cigarette till you're 26, you're never going to smoke in your life. So exposing these people to that is very, very significant.
What does the data show increasing the age from 18 to 21, just those 3 years in terms of people picking up smoking?
So there are many sides of that one. I think one of the most critical is the 18-year-old is the driver of these cigarettes to the younger high schoolers. I think that's a very interesting one. Another one is making the seller responsible. So it's a seller responsibility, not the buyer responsibility. I have to check I did. I think that's what I think Tobacco 21, the bill is really important.
E-cigarettes seem to be marketed as a safe alternative to regular cigarettes.
I call that a hook for cigarettes. I think there is nicotine. The vast majority of these e-cigarettes, they contain nicotine, and nicotine is clearly addictive. So we have an epidemic of up to 80% increased rates of e-cigarettes in high schoolers and middle schoolers. So you have an 11-year-old, 12-year-old is smoking an e-cigarette thinking there's nothing in there. There's nicotine on that, and that is addictive, and that will going to lead you to cigarettes in the future.
How is it addictive? Because you know you're a brain surgeon, and it's not only addictive in terms of affecting your lungs, but also your brain.
Oh yeah, there's definitely an addiction effect on the brain with the nicotine. This is well described from early 70s.
And in terms of what it could do to your brain, possible strokes, right?
So cigarettes have everything to do, we call cigarettes the leading cause of death in the state of Florida. Over 30,000 people die every year in the state of Florida because of cigarettes. 12,000 people just because of stroke. And cigarette is related to the vast majority of the strokes and brain aneurysms.
7 states already have raised the minimum age from 18 to 21, hundreds of municipalities all across the United States, one here in Florida already. What's stopping this from going nationwide and being a federal law?
I think we're gonna see a very, very strong push for that. I think we count on our state to make the right move. You're gonna see California, Virginia, among other cities like New York City, Chicago already made this leap. I think we have to do this in Florida.
Other than raising the age, what else do you do to try to not have kids try tobacco?
I think as a father, as parents, I think it's our duty to teach the kids and to tell the kids, again, stay away from that. It's not safe. Again, this concept that e-cigarette is nothing, it's not water. There is an addictive product on that, and I think we should not expose our kids to that.
How do you get retailers who sell cigarettes and maybe even e-cigarettes to climb on board with this, to card people? Because they're not necessarily doing that right now, at least not all of them, right?
I think that there has to be a law. If you have a state law, then there's no escape. Again, we do this for alcohol. Everybody gets carded when you go buy a beer or wine. Again, that's the right thing to do.
Now, even though this has cleared one Senate committee, it still has a long way to go here in Florida to become law, right?
It's a fight again, and I think we have to go and educate and talk and educate about the downside of cigarette. It's a huge when you are at a hospital, at a stroke center like we are, we see people every day paying the price of smoking cigarettes of their whole life, and very often without even being aware of that.
Yeah, I understand the American Heart Association is also having a bus driving people to Tallahassee coming up on Thursday. That's at 8:30. You can find out more information about that through AHA First Coast on Facebook. So we'll see what happens here, hopefully in the next couple of weeks or couple of months. Dr. Hanel, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Best of